Some nights return, not like memories, but like warnings, as if the darkness itself is whispering, you are not finished with what you try to forget. Tonight, I feel that truth settle across my shoulders like a cold hand I didn't know I missed. The room is still, almost too still, and I sit here listening to the sound of my own breathing, trying to outrun the shape of your absence. It never does. It never can. You left a space in me that doesn't echo. It swallows sound, swallows light, swallows every attempt I've made to rebuild the parts of myself you softened just enough to make vulnerable. So quietly, the world didn't even notice my heart had been rearranged. I tilt my head back, feel the weight of the ceiling press against my thoughts, and suddenly I'm back in the moment you turned away. Not with anger, not with certainty, but with that tremble in your eyes that made it impossible for me to blame you. You weren't running from me, you were running from the version of yourself you saw reflected in me, the one who wanted to stay but didn't know how. If you walked through that door now, if the night let you slip back into my world for a single breath, I think the quiet would collapse between us, not because we broke, but because we never learned how to touch anything without breaking it. I wouldn't ask where you've been, I wouldn't ask why you left, I wouldn't ask what part of me you still think about when the world finally turns its back. I would just look at you, and in that look you would hear everything I never said, that I didn't need promises, that I didn't need forever, that I would have settled for one honest moment where your soul didn't flinch from mine. But honesty was the one thing we were never brave enough to share. The night thickens, carrying the weight of every silence you left behind. I breathe it in, let it fill the cracks of a heart that has learned to beat around emptiness. Sometimes I convince myself you were nothing more than loneliness wearing a familiar face. But then the air shifts softly like a curtain caught in an invisible breeze, and I know it's a lie. ribs and I whisper into the dark. Not for you, but for the part of me that still trembles when your name tries to surface. I'm not waiting anymore, but I'm also not healed. And maybe those two truths are the closest I'll ever come to letting you go. Some nights don't arrive gently. They slip under the door, crawl across the floor, and settle in my chest with the weight of everything I never said. Tonight feels like that, a soft collapse, a slow drowning in the kind of silence that remembers you more clearly than I ever meant to. I lean back, let the dim light breathe over me, and suddenly the room feels smaller, as if the walls have learned the outline of your name and kept it long after you stopped speaking it. There's an ache that moves through me like an echo searching for its voice. It starts in the rib cage, travels through the spine, and reaches the throat where your memory still lingers like a half-formed word that refuses to fade. You were always a quiet kind of pain, steady, persistent, tender in ways you never allowed yourself to admit. I tried to understand, you tried to read the tremble in your hands, tried to catch the meaning behind every glance. You thought I didn't notice, but you were a language I never fully learned, and I was a truth you weren't ready to speak. If the night cracked open now, if the darkness pulled you back just for a moment, I wonder, would you still avoid my eyes? Would you still hold your breath, as if emotions were a fire that might burn you from the inside? Would your hand still shake when the nearness of honesty became too heavy to bear? Maybe we wouldn't say a word, maybe silence would fit us better than language, the way it always did. Some connections aren't built from sentences, they're built from the spaces between them, the pauses, the hesitations, the moments when our hearts beat the same truth, but our mouths refuse to follow. But you're not here, and the night is too honest to let me pretend otherwise. I exhale, and it feels like releasing a ghost that has lived inside me far too long. But even then, even with the breath gone, the ache stays, it curls under my skin, lays its head in the hollows of my bones, and whispers, you didn't forget. You just learned to live without touching the wound. Sometimes I wonder what part of you I loved most. The softness you hid, the storms you carried, or the quiet desperation in your voice when you tried to convince yourself you didn't need anyone to stay. existed only when the world wasn't looking. One day, far from here, far from this night, far from the person I've become. Trying to survive you, you might feel a sudden pull, a strange tightening in your chest, a loneliness that doesn't belong to the moment. And maybe you'll understand that it's me, not longing, not waiting, just existing in the corner of your soul you never learned how to clean out. Until then, I let the darkness wrap itself around me like a truth I can finally hold without shaking. And in that fragile stillness I whisper the words I've been avoiding for as long as memory hurts. I didn't need you to stay, I just needed you to not leave before I learned how to breathe without you. Some nights fall differently, not like darkness, not like endings, but like truth slipping slowly through the cracks of a heart that has finally grown tired of pretending. Tonight, the silence feels older than me, older than everything I've ever loved, older even than the memory of you. I keep stitched to the softest part of my chest. I can feel it breathing, steady, patient, as if waiting for me to finally admit what I've hidden behind 1,000 quiet sighs. You. Your name sits in my throat like a forgotten prayer, one I've lost the words for but still know how to feel. It rises, falls, settles inside me with the weight of something unfinished, a sentence that never found its ending, a story that never learned how to let go. I tilt my head back, let my eyes blur into the trembling shadows and wonder, how many nights like this must I survive before the ache you left finally softens into something that doesn't burn. You were the quiet storm I kept walking into, hoping calm would find us in the middle of the chaos. But storms don't choose the ones they save, they choose the ones they break, softly enough to make them believe it wasn't breaking at all. Sometimes I convince myself you were never real, just a dream carved out of loneliness, a warm illusion my heart created to hear its own echo. But then the night deepens and the truth returns like a tide. I was never meant to stand beside. If the door creaked open now, if your silhouette stepped into this room with the same trembling certainty I once mistook for strength, I don't know if I'd break or breathe or simply stare as the world shrank around the gravity we never learned how to hold. I wonder, do you carry me too in stray thoughts, in quiet moments, in the hush between words when the truth becomes heavier than your silence? Does a part of your soul still shiver when the night grows too gentle to lie to you? Maybe you've healed, maybe you've forgotten, maybe the universe rewrote you into someone who no longer trembles at the memory of us. But I remain in the space between forgiveness and longing, learning slowly that some hearts are not meant to be held, only remembered. The night thickens, wrapping itself around me like a confession I'm too tired to deny, and in that stillness the truth rises, quiet, steady, unavoidable. I'm not waiting for you, I'm waiting for the part of me that stopped breathing the moment I realized you would never return in the ways I once needed. So I whisper your name into the dark, not to call you back, not to beg, not to break, but to honor the place you carved in me without meaning to. A place I can visit but never live in again. And as the night exhales, slow and relentless, I finally understand. You are not the person I lost. You were the part of myself I found when loving you became too painful to continue. Some nights don't arrive, they unfold slowly, like a confession. I never meant to revisit. The darkness settles around me, not as an enemy, but as a witness, watching quietly as I unravel in all the places your memory still touches. I breathe out and the air trembles, a quiet reminder that some ache survives even the deepest silences. Your name rises from somewhere beneath my ribs, soft, shy, almost ashamed to still exist here. But it does, it always does. You were the part of me I didn't know how to hold, the bruise that never darkened, the wound that never bled, the truth that never learned how to stay hidden. And maybe that's why I still feel you in the smallest hours of the night, because you were never loud enough to be forgotten, only quiet enough to be permanent. If I close my eyes long enough, I can still see the outline of you. Not the real you, not the one who walked away, but the one I carried in the tender, lonely spaces of my soul. The version of you that softened in my presence, the version that looked at me as if something inside you had finally stopped running. But you ran anyway, and I let you, not because I wanted to lose you, but because I knew you didn't yet know how to be held without breaking. And I was tired of healing someone who kept bleeding at the sight of love. Tonight, the silence presses harder, as if demanding that I finally admit something I've tried to outrun. I never truly wanted you back. I wanted the moment before everything cracked. The breath, the glance, the quiet surrender, where we almost believed we were safe in each other. Almost, it's strange how a single word can become a lifetime of ache. If you stepped into this room now, if your shadow stretched across this floor the way it used to, I don't know what I'd say. I don't know if forgiveness would rise, or if silence would do all the speaking we feared to do. Then maybe I'd just look at you the way one studies a scar they've grown used to carrying. You taught me that love can live quietly, even in its ruin. That longing doesn't need sound to stay loud, that absence can be a companion. If you sit with it long enough, sometimes when the night is too soft, too honest, too familiar, I wonder if somewhere your heart stumbles the way mine still does. Not out of longing, not out of regret, but out of recognition, as if a piece of you still remembers that we once shared a silence that felt like home. Maybe you've forgotten, maybe you haven't. Maybe the universe keeps some truths hidden, so we don't tear ourselves apart trying to rewrite endings that were always meant to stay unfinished. I exhale again, slow, broken, real, letting the night settle into the cracks you left behind. And there, in the hollow between one heartbeat and the next, I whisper the truth I've never allowed myself to hear. You were not the love of my life, you were the moment my life learned how deeply it could feel. And that is why you remain. stretch farther than the horizon I keep dreaming about. They reach into my chest with quiet, trembling fingers, touching the places I swore I had already healed, but didn't. Not really. Not at all. Tonight, the air feels like an old photograph, faded, soft around the edges, holding a moment I can't return to, yet never learn to release. And somewhere in that stillness, I feel you again. Not as a memory, not as a hope, but as a shadow that learned to breathe in sync with me. I whisper your name into the half-dark and it falls apart in my mouth like dust from a forgotten room. You were always like that, a truth I couldn't hold, a lie I didn't want to believe, a soft ache between two heartbeats that never learned how to separate. If you were beside me now, if the night cracked open and returned you to me for just one breath, I wonder, would I reach for you, or would I simply watch as your presence rearranged the air the way it always did when silence became too heavy for either of us to carry alone? You had a way of making the world feel smaller, as if every street, every shadow, every trembling minute existed only to bring your soul closer to mine. And maybe that's why it still hurts, not because you left, but because the world didn't grow big again after you were gone. I sit with that thought, letting it settle like dust on my skin, and the deeper it sinks, the clearer I see it. I wasn't waiting for you, I was waiting for the part of me that knew how to exist before you happened. But that version of me, the one untouched, unbroken, unaware of the weight of loss, died quietly in the moment I realized you were not mine. Not even in the places where souls meet outside of time. Still, I feel you in the hollow between seconds, in the breath before dawn, in the whisper of loneliness that curls itself around my bones when the world grows too quiet to lie to me. Maybe love never leaves, maybe it simply learns how to hide itself in the folds of who we become. And maybe that's why even now your absence feels warm like a ghost that doesn't want to haunt, only to be remembered. If destiny were kinder, if time were softer, if we were braver, I think we might have found a version of us that didn't end in silence. But that version belongs to another world, one we'll never touch, one we'll never enter, one where our hearts didn't learn the cost of almost. So I sit here, letting the night swallow everything I never said, Everything I never became, everything I still feel. And in that darkness I whisper the truth I've carried like a wound that refuses to close. You didn't break me, you just taught me where my heart was deepest, right in the place where your name still echoes.